Today is I'm recording our review for or the summary for Monday and Tuesday, September 11th and 12th. So if you just look in Schoology, today students will use study strategies from their learning preference to study for the How the Brain Learns unit tests. So on Monday, I went over the vocabulary test. I handed all of those tests back. Um, and then I talked to the kids about what they need to do if they want to retake the test. Junior high is a little bit different. Seventh grade, you have the option to retake. The maximum you can score on a retake is 79%. And so you kind of have to decide if that's something that's worth it for you. Maybe if you got a 78 or a 77%, you might decide, you know what, that's not going to bother my grade that much, or it's not going to change it that much. And so you want to just focus on other things. If you have a lot going on this week, if you've got some other tests, or if you've got a lot of volleyball games, or you've got church, or you've got something going on, maybe it's just not worth it for you right now to go ahead and retake. On the other hand, if you scored anything below a 75, I would say, yeah, go ahead and retake that. Give that a shot. Go ahead and meet with me if you were absent today, and let me talk to you a little bit about what that process looks like. It's not just where you say, hey, I want to retake it, and you take it that day. I need to talk to you a little bit. I want to have a conversation with you about how you studied and why you think maybe you didn't do as well as what you thought maybe originally, or maybe you didn't study at all. Let's talk about some different strategies that you could incorporate. I just don't want to have kids retake because, let's say, your parents are upset with you that you didn't get a very good grade, and so they say you're going to retake that test. Well, if you don't study, if you don't do something different than what you did before, you're not going to have any different results. And so I want to help you with that. And so if you were absent today, please make sure that you talk to me about your vocabulary test, and we'll move forward from there. When we were finished talking about the vocabulary on Monday, the students were given a review sheet, and that is in this folder. We'll talk about that in a second. And then today and tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, I'm just giving you guys class time to ask me questions, to study with a friend, to study on your own. Use strategies that you learned in VARC in deciding, if you're a visual, oral, read, write, or kinesthetic learner. Use some strategies specifically for you as a learner. And again, if you don't put that extra effort into it, you're just not going to see the results afterwards. Okay? Your test is Wednesday, September 13th, and the vocabulary retest is on Friday, September 15th. Let's go ahead and jump in here real quick. So I have a test review. My test reviews are different in science than maybe what you're used to in sixth grade. And so let's talk about this real quick. You may be used to a test review where a teacher asks a question like, what's the definition of brainstem? Or what is the function of the brainstem? And then you fill in the blank. My test reviews are different than that because you each are uniquely different in your learning styles. You have to come up with your own test review. Now, this test review that I've given you gives you the test format. So I tell you what types of questions are going to be on the test because it's very important. If it was all true false, you would study a little bit differently than if you would study for like an essay or something like that. So the test you will have on Wednesday has 9 true-false questions. And the true-false questions will be written as a statement, and you are going to determine whether the statement is true or false based on the underlined word or words. Okay? So there'll be a statement, and one or two words in that statement will be underlined. You have to determine if that's a true or false statement based on that underlined word. Okay. If the statement is true, you just write true and you move on. If the statement is false, you are only going to change the underlined word in order to make it a true statement. So I put an example on there. For example, if the statement said the sun is out and there isn't a cloud in the purple sky, that of course would be a false statement based on the underlined word purple. The sky's not purple. If the sun is out and there isn't a cloud, then the sky is going to be blue. So rather than rewriting the whole sentence, I'm just going to rewrite the one word above the underlined word, and I'm going to write in the word blue. So now if I read the sentence, it says, the sun is out and there isn't a cloud in the blue sky. That is a true statement. Okay? In addition to the 9 true false questions, you're going to have 2 diagrams. So you will have the picture of the neuron, and you will need to label that neuron with the following terms: dendrite, soma, nucleus, axon, axon terminal, myelin sheath. So make sure you study your diagram in your notes and understand where each one of those are. Okay. You also will have a picture of a brain, and I have a typo there. You need to label the brain, and I'm putting the words down here that you need to use. You need to use the cerebrum, cerebellum, brainstem, frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. Okay, make sure you know where those are and be able to draw a little line and then put your labels there. In addition, there will be 10 multiple choice questions, and there will be 2 short answer questions. The short answer questions are where you are going to read a prompt and write a response using complete sentences. It won't necessarily be as long as an essay, which could be a paragraph long. Maybe 1 sentence is enough, or maybe 2 sentences is enough. But you're going to have a list of words for one of the questions, and you need to incorporate all 5 of those words in your response. And then another one, you're going to use race to answer. So you'll restate the question and then answer and explain. Okay? So that's your test. There's a total of 45 questions. But bear in mind, like the diagram might be 7 questions because there are 7 things that I want you to include on a diagram or within that question that I asked you. So 45 questions for this test, okay? It's going to be difficult. I'm not going to lie. I'm telling you right now, it is a difficult test in that you're really going to have to study for this one. You're really going to have to review your notes, okay? Those of you that did well on the vocab test, you've got a little bit of a leg up because you kind of already have that information in your long-term memory, and so you're going to do a little bit better than those that did not study for the vocab, and you kind of have to start from scratch. So, what are some things that you need to review? So, remember when I said I don't write test reviews that you guys have to fill out, because if you're not a read writer, those types of review questions are not going to work for you. If you are that kind of a learner, then write those questions yourself and then answer them. That is a great way for you to study for a test. So starting way back to what we learned at the very beginning, I want you guys to know the 4 types of learners. What are the 4 types of learners, and be able to describe them? So if you don't have that information written down in notes, I want you to go to vark-learn.com and look those up, and you can look on the online to find out, like, how would you describe those 4 types of learners. The very first set of notes that we had was called What is a Neuron? In those notes, you'll be able to identify all parts of the neuron and their function. You need to be able to describe the path an impulse takes from one neuron to another. That's on the back notes. Like, be able to describe, like, first it starts here, then it goes here, then it goes here, then it goes here, then it goes here. Like, make sure you're able to explain that. And then be able to explain which impulse travels faster, pain or touch. That was at the very bottom of the last page of those notes. The next set of notes that you had was the all about the lobes notes. And that's where we color coded all of the different brain lobes, the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. So in those notes, I want you to pull out this information. Know the location of each lobe, because you're going to have to put it on the diagram. So know the location, know what each lobe is responsible for. So on each page of those notes, it talks about what this lobe does, what it's responsible for, what happens here. You got to figure out a way to learn that. Make sure that you're able to identify that. That could show up as a multiple choice question. That could show up as a true false question. Okay? Know what the cerebrum is. You're going to have to diagram the cerebrum. What is it? Again, if go back to your vocabulary term, look at the definition of the cerebrum. It's right there. Know what the cerebellum is and what it's responsible. Know what the brainstem is and what it's responsible for. The last set of notes that I gave you was the limbic system notes, and this was the video that you watched and the diagram that you created, okay? Make sure that you know those 4 parts of the limbic system. Remember that diagram that the speaker talked about? He drew a picture of something and he wrote those 4 words. He had an anagram for that. What are the 4 parts of the limbic system? And know what each part of the limbic system is responsible for. And then lastly, make sure that you're reviewing your vocabulary definitions. Not only should you be studying if you decide that you need to retake that test, if you're going to retake that, but also it's a really good resource for you because they may show up as true false questions. That might show up as a multiple choice question. All right. So you've got these 4, like your 3 sets of notes plus your vocabulary, plus knowing what the 4 types of learners are. And then we're taking all, like I said, we took all of Monday class period, and you'll have all Tuesday to study as well. Ask me questions. If you're confused about something, this is a great time to clarify that. Don't come in right before the test and say, Mrs. Clayton, I wasn't able to study because I just don't understand that. It's too late. You guys need to really, really use the information that you've learned during these last 2.5 weeks about what kind of a learner you are. Use those strategies to study this information and do well on the test. Okay? All right. I'll see you soon.